You're probably missing the real reason that Mickey Mouse is so famous. This is Steamboat Willie, the 1928 cartoon that made Mickey Mouse a star, and this specific character is sorta kinda entering into the public domain in 2024.
Steamboat Willie, public domain!
The most iconic image that Disney has ever created.
They're entering the public domain on the 1st of this year.
But to me, the legal intricacies are less interesting than a bigger question. What made Mickey Mouse a star? This is Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Walt Disney made him, and he was on screens right before Mickey. What is the difference? Why is one the face of a global empire, and the other the answer to a bar trivia question? There's a trick, not in the frame, but at the edge. And that trick explains why Mickey Mouse became a legend.
Wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing yet.
This is a clip from The Jazz Singer, the most famous early talking film. The brand of sound used in The Jazz Singer, Vitaphone, was a marvel, but it kind of worked how you would expect. The film played and people just played a record at the same time. This had an obvious problem. People would press play at the wrong time and things would get out of sync. I am sorry I had to edit it that way. Let's go back to the video. But longtime Disney director Wilfred Jackson said that there were other problems too. When the film would break, the projectionist wouldn't replace the frames that were gone with blank frames. He would just splice the two good frames together. So the longer a picture was run, the longer one print was used in the theater, the shorter it got. Consequently, the later you got into the picture, the farther it got out of sync. If you could somehow marry the sound and the film, you could truly synchronize sound and picture. I'm gonna show you the method they used for Mickey, but it was pretty similar for competing methods, and it might make your brain explode like it did mine. Okay, let's get started.
A record known as a variable density soundtrack is produced.
Do you see those lines there? Those are actually the sound. Go ahead and cut my head out for this demo. Let's go super simple. I say Mickey. It goes into a microphone and gets converted into an electrical signal. Here comes the confusing part. I'm making the scale of this demo bigger and a bit simpler, but I think it gives you the general idea of the kind of wizardry that they were doing for this. They've got a light here, right? And here, they've got two ribbons that are in a magnetic field. And here, you have the soundtrack. There were usually lenses in between, but we'll keep it simple. See how there is no light hitting the film strip right now? It's because the ribbons are blocking it. No sound. But play me singing the word Mickey, and the ribbons vibrate from the electrical current. That vibration lets the light through, just for a split second, at a corresponding width, and prints it on the strip. This happens many times for each frame. You can see what it ends up looking like here. This is variable density sound. There's also variable area sound that looks more like a familiar waveform, but it works in a similar fashion. You can see it in this Mickey Mouse Club ad from 1930, after Disney mostly switched over to variable area. Let's play this segment again, and you'll kind of be able to see the sound in the waveform. I think with a little practice, you can do it with variable density too. Here, let's try. Technicians then took the film negative and sound negative and printed it on a final film strip. Then the process was basically reversed with a sensor that could read the audio track's light. This clip is from a Fleischer Bros explainer video. They were a competitor to Disney. When Walt Disney saw a raw version work in dinner time, he said, "It was a lot of racket and nothing else. I was terribly disappointed. It merely had an orchestra playing and adding some noises." But he saw the potential, and he was going to put in the work to master synchronized sound. This is actually the first Mickey Mouse cartoon, Plain Crazy. It was silent, but was made before Steamboat Willie. The same was true for the Gallopin' Gaucho, a parody of a silent movie hit, The Gaucho. These cartoons, though, they just kind of sat on the shelf, and to me they serve as a sort of proof that Mickey needed sound innovation to break through to the public consciousness. They needed to exceed the quality of earlier sound experiments. On the Steamboat Willie title slate, you can see that Disney shares big credit with genius of iWorks and Cinephone, the method that he used to print sound on film. So he didn't invent Cinephone, and that method was even an imitation of an invention called phonofilm. Listen, I know Steve Jobs analogies are a little tired. I have actually made one on this channel before, but I think it is helpful. Like, there were MP3 players before the iPod, but it changed the game. And Walt Disney wanted to do the same thing with Steamboat Willie. They did a test with an orchestra, but it didn't work. Syncing was hard, and pages of music were left when the cartoon was over. So Walt bet it all to continue, even as Steamboat Willie started to cost more than his previous cartoons. This time, they marked every 12th frame on a work print with India ink. It flashed white as a type of metronome. That helped the orchestra sync up. Walt then hired the world's greatest publicist to make his movie pop, since no one wanted to buy it. I could go on a million years about this guy. One of the big items in his playbook was to fake kidnap lead actresses before their movies came out, because he knew it was going to generate a lot of press. So he was pretty good. Steamboat Willie played with a movie called Gang War at the Colony Theater in New York for 2 weeks, and it was a smash hit. It earned reviews not as the first animated sound cartoon, but the first to attract favorable attention. It was a breakthrough, and the New York Times praised that it growls, whines, and squeaks. Disney added a soundtrack to Plain Crazy and The Galloping Gaucho. Now Mickey Mouse just wasn't a cartoon character. He was the cartoon of the sound age. Now, I'm gonna reveal the truth here. This all answers a question that I always had, which is, why was Mickey Mouse famous? I mean, he's not that great. Sorry. Mickey never did it for me, but that is because I did not have the context. Mickey didn't invent this idea of printing sound on film, optical sound. And if you look, you can go on eBay right now and find that in like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, they have Sony Dynamic Digital Sound, Dolby Digital, in a form of waveform, printed on the edge of the film strip. The Mickey breakthrough was executing perfectly in a new synchronized sound system. Mickey was Toy Story in computer animation. He was Mario in side-scrollers. He was, I don't know, Beat Saber and Oculus Rift. That's the trick that made Mickey famous. Not because he was an incredible character, but because he literally pushed at the edges of what film could do. Hey, thank you for watching. First things first, some of the optical sound that I included in this video was actually recreated optical sound that I made. So like when you see the optical sound on Steamboat Willie, I couldn't find a scan that had the right sound in it. So I actually learned how to make it, which is a very fulfilling, nerdy project if you want to try. And I'm actually going to tell you how I did it, thanks to some incredible developers that are out there and hacking things together. Over on Patreon, I have put up a free to access video. It is free. You do not have to be a Patreon supporter to watch this. And I go through how I made the optical sound that I used in this video. I also have a lot of people to thank though. Some of the other optical sound examples that you see in this video come courtesy of Not an Animation Historian. I've got his credits up over each one, and you can also visit his YouTube channel or support him on Patreon. That's down in the description, as well as all the sources for this video. A lot of great books that I read that told me the real deal behind Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie and the technical stuff that was going on here. There will be a reaction video up on Patreon for paying supporters. I really appreciate your support. It helps make the channel possible. But again, the optical sound details are going to be up there, and it should be linked in a free version. So I hope you will check that out if you want to learn how I did it and why.